The AFC playoff picture starting to come into focus here as we look at the end of Week 9. We got the Ravens and the Saints on Monday Night Football to come as we record this video. So as we said, it is the Bills and the Chiefs 1 and 2 respectively in the AFC playoff picture. Both teams 6 and 2. The Bills having the tiebreaker. The Ravens 5 and 3. Again, their game to come against New Orleans. Tennessee 5 and 3 after a tough loss to the Chiefs. And then the wild card spots are as follows: Jets, Dolphins, Chargers 6 and 3, 6 and 3, 5 and 3. And in the hunt, Pats and Bengals. And that's it. That's it. That is the entire in the hunt section because the rest of these teams in the AFC stink. Houston has 1 win. Pittsburgh and Vegas, 2 wins. Denver, Jacksonville, Cleveland, Indy, 3 wins. None of those teams are making the playoffs. Cleveland's schedule is too hard, even with Deshaun Watson coming back in December. Denver has no offense. That's not going to happen. Jacksonville has 6 losses already. Jacksonville is not well equipped to go on a big run. The Raiders, they have blown 2 games they had to win over the last 2 weeks. They had to beat the Saints. They had to beat the Jaguars. Lost them both. Got shut out in one and gave up a 17-point lead in another. Pittsburgh does not have a quarterback or an offense, and Houston is Houston. So, the AFC playoff picture really is starting to crystallize a little bit. Now, if you go over to 538, where they do really good work in terms of projecting NFL races, here's where they have those AFC teams that are currently in the playoff picture in terms of their odds to make the playoffs. Bills, 96%. Chiefs, 97%. Ravens, 88%. Titans, 93%. Miami, 81%. And then you get the Chargers at 55, so a little better than even the Jets at 59 after a huge win, a season-changing win over the Bills. The Bengals, by the way, the best odds for a team that is not in the playoff picture at 48%. Now, why are the Bengals that low? Because their schedule is really hard. The Bengals are going to have some very, very tough games down the stretch. They're at Pittsburgh after their bye in 2 weeks from now on Sunday Night Football. Then it's at Tennessee, home to the Chiefs, home to the Browns with Deshaun Watson, at Tampa, at Foxborough, the Bills, the Ravens. It is a gauntlet for Cincinnati. It is not going to be easy. And the Jets, I think, are the team that is surprising everybody here at 6 and 3. Well, the Jets' schedule is not all that difficult. The Jets have 6 wins and still have to play the Bears at home, the Lions at home, the Jaguars at home. If they win just those 3 games, that might be enough to make the playoffs. Maybe you need 1 more. Well, you've got the Pats again on the road. You got Seattle on the road, Dolphins on the road, Bills on the road. None of which are easy. But the Jets probably getting to 9, might even get to 10. Okay, Miami has proven its mettle, 6 and 3 and rolling. And the schedule soft and then very difficult for Miami. The Browns and the Texans up next at home. They should get to 8 and 3. Then interesting. 3-game trip, Niners, Chargers, Bills. That is brutal to start the month of December, but they get the Packers at home. They get the Jets at home. Dolphins should be able to get to 10, 11 wins. So what does it all mean? Well, when you look at the conference, I think it's fair to say that Buffalo and Kansas City are the 2 best teams. I think it is fair to say they will probably be seeded 1 and 2. Now, the Bills were heavy favorites to get the 1 seed, but the loss to the Jets paired with the Chiefs' win, barely a win, but a win, over the Titans really starts to narrow the gap. It went from, Buffalo's in complete control to now the Bills all of a sudden are not so much in control. They do have the tiebreaker, so they are still number 1 in the conference. But of their last 9 games, the Bills have 6 games against teams with winning records. The Chiefs, in their last 9 games, only face 3 teams with a winning record. Something to keep in mind. After the Bills and the Chiefs, it appears the Titans are going to win the South. Probably the 3 or the 4 seed, but going to win the South. They also lose the tiebreaker to the Chiefs and the Bills. So very likely they're going to be a 3rd or 4th seed, but it's almost impossible to figure that they're not going to make it into one of those spots. They would have to fall apart. The Dolphins, the Jets, again, right off the schedules. Probably getting at least 9 for the Jets, maybe 10, and then add a win for the Dolphins. So 10 to 11. The Chargers, all over the map, but they got a big win against the Falcons. They're 5 and 3, 3 of the next 4 on the road. The Niners, the Cardinals, the Raiders. If you're the Chargers, you're thinking, look, if you can win 2 of those games, you're in really good shape. They have the Chiefs at home during that stretch as well. Even if you split them and you get to 7 and 5, if you're the Chargers, you'll sign all day for that because afterwards, Dolphins and Titans at home. Again, not easy games, but again, if you split them even, 8-6, your last 3 games are the Colts on the road, the Rams at home, and the Broncos on the road. I mean, they should be able to get to 10 wins. So right now, here's the question in the AFC playoff picture. Do the Bengals survive what is a very hard schedule the rest of the way? If they do, who do you take out of the playoff picture? Is it Baltimore? Do they just flat out beat out the Ravens? Well, it's not likely. The Ravens' schedule is the easiest remaining schedule by some metrics in football. So the Ravens, here it is the rest of the way. At the Saints on Monday night, home to the Panthers, at the Jags, home to Denver, at Pittsburgh, at Cleveland, home to Atlanta, home to Pittsburgh, at Cincy. Baltimore's making the playoffs. So you've got Cincinnati and New England trying to get in, trying to make the playoffs. Okay, and for the record, the Pats over at 538 get a 39% chance to make the playoffs. My guess, the Pats are not going to make the playoffs. They're too limited offensively. I don't think they've got the goods to do it. Cincy, I think, will push the entire way. The Jets are the team to watch here. If the Jets can handle those 3 games they should win at home, the Jags, the Bears, and the Lions, it's one more game. They got to find one more game. And if they can find it, they're in pretty decent shape. Now, mind you, the Bengals beat the Jets earlier this year. They beat them. They beat them in the Meadowlands. So the Jets are going to have to beat Cincinnati outright if that ends up being the case. But the point of the matter is the Jets are in great shape after beating the Bills, got a huge win. Cincinnati, it's a gauntlet. They did take care of business against Carolina, but that loss to Cleveland looms large. It'll be interesting. But right now, there are 9 teams fighting for 7 spots. And if you'd like to put the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Titans aside, because I think those 3 teams are going to get in the playoffs, probably going to win the divisions, then it's really 6 teams fighting for 4 spots. Fascinating race in the AFC. And next week, if you're looking for the games to watch in terms of the AFC playoff picture, NFC game on on Thursday night, and there's a Sunday morning game in Germany between Seattle and the Bucs. So all the AFC games, all of them, happen on Sunday because the Monday night game is Washington and Philly. So keep your eyes out. Vikings 7-1 at the Bills. Really interesting game there. You've got the Browns and the Dolphins. I don't think the Browns have any shot to make the playoffs, but it is an interesting game. See if the Browns off a bye give the Dolphins a little bit of trouble. Kansas City at home against Jacksonville should run away with that game, one would think. Tennessee at home against Denver. Denver is off a bye, but Denver's been hideous. It's tough to see them scoring a lot of points in that game. And then the Chargers on Sunday night, taking on San Francisco off the bye. That is a very tough assignment. I would expect that the Niners are going to run the ball very well in that game. So those are the teams in action next week. There's a few buys mixed in as well. The Jets on the bye, for an example. The Ravens also on a bye. So look for those games, those AFC matchups. There's no head-to-head game that really could swing things one way or the other. But there are some games that are really interesting. Chargers, Niners, Bills, Vikings, to me, are the 2 to really watch, with a loose eye on KC and Jacksonville and Miami and Cleveland. That is your AFC playoff picture. It is a fun one as we are getting toward the middle of the season and beyond.